Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you all of the parts of the saxophone and all of your accessories. But first, we're going to begin with how to properly open your saxophone case, which you would think might be pretty easy, but there's some real simple things you have to observe before you do it. First things first is you got to make sure that the logo of your brand of your saxophone should be showing on the top of the case. That's how you know you have it upright. The other big clue is that your latches right here should lift up, okay, like that. Okay, now I'm gonna close it. So if the case looks like this, you know, where you don't have the logo on the top, the case is currently upside down, and if I open this, everything is gonna go flying everywhere, and that would be really bad because saxophones are expensive and delicate. Okay. So once you've confirmed that you have the case right side up, because you can see the logo on the lid here, and you can also lift the latches up, go ahead and do that and open the case. Okay, there's all the goodies. Obviously, the first thing everybody notices is the big part. That's called the body of the saxophone. We are not going to be using the body of the saxophone for a couple of weeks. There's a lot of other pieces that we need to learn first, and we're going to play on first before we even mess with the body. So leave it alone. Please do not touch it. I know it's tempting to want to put everything together and play right now, but it would not be a good idea because I really want to walk you through that myself in your lesson to make sure that you do it in a way where you won't damage your equipment, okay? So the other piece to the saxophone here is the neck, okay? And the neck will insert into the body. We're actually going to learn to play on the neck first by itself, okay, with the mouthpiece attached to it. Okay, so we're going to be using that. And speaking of the mouthpiece, that's right here. Okay. Yours should say Van Doren right here. This is old and it's rubbed off, but it'll say Van Doren, AL3 right there. This is one of the most important pieces of equipment that you have in your case. This mouthpiece costs about $120, and if you drop it on a hard floor, it's going to chip or crack, and you're going to have to throw it away and get a new one. And so you got to be very careful with the mouthpiece, okay? The ligature is kind of the next piece, and the ligature slides onto the mouthpiece like so, and that's what's going to hold the reed to the mouthpiece, and you'll see that in a later video. Okay, so that's the ligature. And then, like I said, this mouthpiece is kind of fragile and expensive, so they provide you with a mouthpiece cap that goes over the mouthpiece and protects the end of it from, in case you drop it or something, it won't damage it. So it protects the most important portion of the mouthpiece. Okay, so far we have the body, which we're not touching for now. We have the neck, and then the mouthpiece, ligature, and mouthpiece cap. Okay, so in this little compartment over here, we have all of our accessories. The first accessory I'm pulling out is what's called the neck strap. The neck strap will go around your neck, and it'll hook to the saxophone, and will basically support all of the weight of the saxophone. So you don't have to actually hold the saxophone up with your hands. It's going to just hang around your neck. The alto saxophone is approximately about 7.5 pounds when everything is put together. So that can be a little heavy at first, but you'll get used to it. That's what I love about this particular neck strap, is it has this memory foam cushion on the part that goes around your neck. And it also has a closing clasp here that will hook onto the saxophone, and it won't come unhooked until you pull the little button down. A lot of neck straps have what we call an open hook that can just come unattached without you even realizing it. And if you're not paying attention and it comes apart, you can drop your saxophone and do some serious damage. So I always like these close clasp neck straps, especially for beginners. Okay, so that's the neck strap, very important. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but this is a Neotech That's the brand. And the type or the model is called the Wicket neck strap. So the Neotech Wicket, I think, is the best strap for beginners. And they make them in 3 different sizes. They make junior, medium, and large. You would just want to get a medium. Okay, a medium generally works for just about everybody. Okay, so the next portion of our equipment is the box of reeds. These reeds are essentially what make the sound of the saxophone. So if you don't have reeds, you can't play. Okay, I highly suggest Van Doren is the brand, and you want to get the dark blue box. If you look online and you search for Van Doren alto sax reeds, you'll see a dark blue box, a light blue box, a light green box, a dark green box, red box, gray box, and I think they have even a black one too. You want the dark blue Van Doren reeds. They call those their traditional reeds. So Van Doren traditional alto sax, okay? You'll notice the number on my box says 3.5. That is the strength of the reed. For beginner students, I recommend 2.5s, okay? So hopefully that's what you have. If you got 3s, those may not work, and it might be best to exchange them at the music store for 2.5s. And as long as you haven't opened the reeds, then they will exchange them for no cost or anything. So 2.5 is the number you want. 3.5 that I use, that's for more advanced, professional level players. Okay, inside the box, there's usually 10 reeds. I've used several of these already, as you can tell, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull one out, and you'll see that each reed is individually wrapped in a wrapper, and they put a little tear right there, a little notch in the very top right there to help you open it. So if you grab it on either side and you just rip it like that, it opens up nice and easy. Okay, you take the wrapper off, and it's in a plastic sleeve. So you grab it right here by the side and you pull it to the right. You pull it sideways like that, and then you don't need this anymore. You should recycle that. Okay, so this is what the reed looks like. Okay, it's basically comes from a plant that is similar to bamboo. Okay, these are very fragile, especially this end right here. It's very easy to break it, so you got to be very careful with these. Okay, so the next piece of equipment would be, well, let me get rid of these reeds here. We don't need those now. Would be the reed case. Okay, so when you rented your instrument from Straight Music or Music and Arts, there's a very good chance they gave you something called a reed guard, and it holds 4 reeds. I do not recommend the reed guard because it is not an airtight case. It's like open, and the reeds will be exposed to the air and the humidity, and they will not last as long. The thing that's great about this case is that it is airtight, and it holds 8 reeds inside it. Okay, there's 4. In fact, that new one I just opened, I'm gonna go ahead and put it right there. Okay, so it holds 8 reeds, 4 here, 4 on the back side. And then the thing that's most important about this case is it contains this little gel pack in here that is essentially a humidifier, okay? And it even says right there, 72% humidity. So when you close the case, it keeps the reeds humidified and allows, it'll preserve them and make them last much longer than if you stored them in a reed guard or just put them back in that box that I had earlier. So this is called a D'Addario multi-instrument reed case, and you can find it on Amazon.com. I think usually Straight and Music and Arts sell them in their stores too. They're about $25 on Amazon, and I know that all this gear has gotten expensive, but if you can spend $25 on this case, the reeds are going to last much longer, so you'll end up buying less reeds. One box of reeds is about $35, and if you take care of those reeds very well, that one box should last you 4 months, I would expect. If you don't take care of them in a good case like this, those reeds might only last 2 months. So you're going to end up buying double the amount of reeds. So this is an essential purchase. And I don't like the reed guard that they probably gave you. You can always take it back and exchange it, probably get your money back for it, or apply the funds to this, okay? So it's a little more expensive, but totally worth it. Okay, moving on. This is the swab, okay? This is a Hodge, that's the brand, Hodge silk swab. And this is what we will be using to clean the inside of the saxophone after you play it. So if you get one of these Hodge swabs, it'll come in a package nice and it'll be folded in like a square and all that. This one I've had for a little bit and I've used it. That's why it's all wadded up and all that. But that's to clean the inside of the body and neck and mouthpiece of your saxophone. Okay, moving on here. This might look like chapstick or lipstick, but it's, as you can see, it says cork grease. On the neck here, you have this piece of cork. And when it's a new cork, if you have a newer saxophone, this cork will be very dry. And so the cork grease, you apply the cork grease to it, and it allows for the mouthpiece to go on much easier, okay? And again, I'm gonna show you how to assemble all this later, but that's what the cork grease is for. It's to help get the mouthpiece onto the cork. It's not something you always need to use. It's just mainly for when your cork is new. I probably get my cork replaced once every 6 months or so, maybe even longer. So every time I get a new cork put on, I got to use some cork grease. But I've probably had this tube of cork grease for 6 or 7 years. It lasts a really long time. Okay, moving on. They hopefully also gave you some mouthpiece patches. These are these little rubber stickers. And I've actually cut mine in half because I use them a little differently than their intended purpose. But I don't know if you can see on the top of my mouthpiece here, I stuck one right there, and I'll show you guys in your lessons how to do that. But it serves a very specific purpose later on that will be explained. So those are mouthpiece patches. They make clear mouthpiece patches, and those are not what we want. We want the thick rubber ones. Okay, one of the other most important pieces of your equipment is your metronome tuner. This is an older one, but it's the same brand that you probably got. It's a Korg, and this model says TM40. You guys probably got the TM60. That's the most current one, I think. This is going to be a very important tool that we're going to use every time we practice. So you're going to need that. The last piece of equipment in here is something that you need to get, but it's probably not something we need urgent, or we're not going to be using it right away. This is the tuner pickup, and this like clamps onto your saxophone down here, if you see that. And then this plugs in to the tuner. So it will, if you're playing in a room with other people, the tuner will not know who to listen to unless you have this plugged into it. So when you have this plugged into it, it'll only register your instrument. Obviously right now we're not playing in a room with other people, so that's why I'm saying you won't need this right away, but maybe keep it in your bedroom, and when it comes time to where we need it, we'll have it. Okay, so that pretty much covers all the equipment. So close the case up, I'm gonna latch it. There you go.